My first job led me to University of Alberta in Edmonton, and this was 1998. And I taught there for 9 years, and then I came to um, Concordia University in 2007. So it's been like 8 years, entering ninth year at Concordia. And I, I used to teach courses on globalization, and these are macro sociological analysis, and it's really interesting to have a larger scope. And then, but then I really became dissatisfied with the content of these globalization courses. Why? Because it's really depressing. So I started going to the local, and then that led me to design a new course. So once I came to Concordia, I started teaching the course on food. I call it the political economy of food. Why? Because I wanted to maintain the Marxist tradition of critiquing the big power and the power structure. So I named it political economy. But in the content-wise, I think it was more about social economy of food. Why? Because the couple of objectives of the course were that one, to make Canadian students feel uncomfortable about what they're eating. And then I'm gonna make them feel better by introducing what's happening as an alternative movement. And so those alternative movements sums up to be the social economy, not the corporate, not the government, but then the people creating the community engaged places and then space for food production, processing, eating together. And these are the what I think is going to make everybody happier. Why? Because by having your own food grown in your place and then cooking and eating together with the people that you share your ideas, people become healthy and happy. And so my kind of focus when I teach undergraduate courses these days is to really focus upon what people can do. And as a part of it, I introduced, but this was my practice from when I was in Alberta, community service learning, or CSL, or some people call it problem-based service learning course, PBSL. But the objective or the practice of this is that as a part of the requirement for undergraduate course, students have to go to the community organization and volunteer for 20 hours during the semester, and to have the report based on experience, but then incorporate what they learned in the community engagement in what they learned in classrooms and textbooks. So I think my pedagogical practice of community service learning is a very important part. Why? Because I think students learn a lot, maybe from reading, but then there is not much retention if you just read. If you engage them in discussion, then the retention rate may increase somewhat. But by doing and then experiencing firsthand, the retention of the knowledge really jumps up. That's the reason why I kind of make students engage in the community action. But these days, I think when students take my course, I ask them to do the term project, like the project of their own. And I encourage them to start the projects or initiate some action. And I think many students now started engaging different aspects of the social economy by proposing to create the different activities and participate in different actions. So like from the beginning, there were interesting students who initiated the projects. And one of the projects that started was atrium project in the greenhouse. There is this the tea garden, and the project was a derivative of the course that I taught. A group of students who took my course wanted to engaging in something real, hands-on. So they started producing herbal tea in the greenhouse, and then they dried it. And that's the start of that project at the greenhouse. City Farm School also, in a way, before it became a City Farm School, there was a group of students from my class who wanted to engage in actual production of the food with the people like Cameron Stiff. These students started growing food in Loyola campus, and this laid the foundation later to really expand the cultivation in Loyola campus. So I think there are interesting projects happening out of my class.